Now we're going to move on to two-step equations, and this is actually going to be the notes for section 3, section 4 and section 5 of the worksheet that you're going to do. We're going to combine those into one. Basically it's two-step problems, first of all with integer values, then with fractional values, and then also with negative values. So they're the three things that we're going to cover in this set of notes. This time, notice we've got x multiplied by a number, and also we've got something at the end here, either added or subtracted, and in this case added. So we have two things that we have to undo. So first of all, I want to move like terms together. So this is a number and this is a number, so I want to move this to the other side. So to do that, I have to do the inverse again. So instead of adding 3, I'm going to subtract 3. As I did the same to both sides, that's called the property of equality. Then I should be able to simplify this, because these two are inverses, so I just get left with 6x, and then 15 take away 3 is 12. Now once we've done one step of the equation, this should be exactly like we did in step 1. So instead of timesing by 6, we should just be able to divide by 6. But make sure you do the same on both sides. And then we can cancel this, so 6 divided by 6 is just going to be 1, so 1x. 12 divided by 6 is 2. This time I divided both sides, so it was equality again, but this time with division. 12 divided by 6 I just worked out, so that's a substitution property. And then 6 times by 6 and divided by 6, they're inverses, so that would be the multiplicative inverse, which why I know it is x. Second question. Same thing, I have numbers and numbers here, so I'd like to bring those to the same side. So instead of subtracting 4, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And as I did the same to both sides, that's the equality property again, but with addition this time. Then I can go ahead and start simplifying this, so negative 8 plus 4 I can work out. And these two are going to cancel, so that just gives me 7x, that would be my additive inverse property. 7x equals negative 14, so if we divide both sides by 7, then I can find out which is what x is. So the 7s are going to cancel, leaving me with x. And then negative 14 divided by 7 is negative 2 by substitution. And as this was times by 7 and this was divided by 7, that would be my multiplicative inverse, so x equals negative 2. If we have time, we could plug this back in. 7 times negative 2 is negative 14. Take away 4 is indeed negative 18, so I know that I have this question right. So you should never have an incorrect answer. Now, when I say incorrect answer, if you get something like 10 equals 12, then that means you made a mistake, because obviously that's not true. So it should be the number equals itself is what you're looking for when you plug back in. Now this one, I got a fraction here. I've also got my x's on the right-hand side. I always prefer them on the left-hand side, so I'm going to switch those two things over straight away. And that's called the symmetric property. Now I want to collect like terms here together again. So instead of adding 9, I want to subtract 9. From both sides though, so that would be my property of equality again with subtraction. And then I'm going to start working out what these are. So 2 take away 9 is negative 7 using the substitution property. These two will cancel, so this is actually my inverse again, which I don't think I labelled this time. Instead of I'm trying to find x by itself, at the moment I'm dividing by 5, so I have to do the opposite dividing by 5, which is to times by 5, but I have to do it on both sides. Scroll up a little bit. So 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, that's substitution, and 5 over 5 just cancels, which leaves me with x. As it was times and then divide, that's an inverse, and as it was doing multiplication, that's the multiplicative inverse. Last example for this section. Once again, I'm not particularly happy about having the x's on the right hand side, so I'm going to switch those over straight away. Like I say, you don't have to do that, but I think most people prefer the question when it actually looks like this. Now this time I also don't like the fact that the x is second and the number is first, so I'm going to switch these two over. So notice that 4x is actually negative 4x. 7 doesn't have a sign, so it's not negative 7, obviously this is positive 7. So if I rearrange them, I can say negative 4x and then positive 7. Now I can start doing those opposites. So bringing the numbers across to the other side here. Instead of adding 7, I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. So I can combine these two numbers. So 1 take away 7 is negative 6, substitution. These two will cancel, so this is actually an example of an inverse. leaves me with negative 4x. And then now, as I'm multiplying by negative 4, the opposite of that is to divide by negative 4. So do it on both sides of the equation now. Oops. And then on the left-hand side, negative 4 divided by negative 4 is just 1, or 1x. So they're going to cancel, because that's an inverse. And on the right-hand side, negative 6 divided by negative 4, well, two negatives are going to give me a positive. So I could say 6 over 4, but they both have a factor of 2 as well. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we can go ahead and simplify there. Remember when we work out an answer to a calculation? That's your substitution property. So that's the sections for 3, 4 and 5 on your worksheet.